Welcome to the Enneagram 2.0 podcast. I'm Beatrice Chestnut.
And I'm Uranio Paes.
And today we're talking to Madeline Rains, who is a sexual 9. Welcome, Madeline.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So glad to have you. I think sexual 9 is a type that people need to understand better. And you are a great person to share all of this with us.
Thank you.
Madeline has been to several of our courses, retreats. She does wonderful self-development work, and therefore she's capable of observing all the patterns of her Enneagram profile.
So tell us a little bit about you and how you came to know about the Enneagram and how you found your type. I think you have sort of an interesting story of how you came to find your type, which 9s sometimes do, because sometimes 9s think they're other types before they find themselves as 9s.
Yes, it was absolutely that journey for me. I was a health coach at the time that I discovered the Enneagram and having trouble getting people motivated to change their habits, and felt when I heard about the Enneagram that that was a good tool to help them understand their motivations. And it was just actually, honestly, it was your podcast that changed everything because I was going for a walk. This is way before I knew my type or anything. I was going for a walk and listening to your podcast, and it was maybe the third or fourth time I'd heard it, and I just felt so strongly. It was a gut thing that I've had several times in my life of, you need to join the school. And I had just recently become a health coach. It had only been a few years. It was kind of ridiculous even to have that thought. But I, within a week, had signed up for a course knowing not at all as much about the Enneagram as all of the other students in the classes that I signed up for. So I came in having talked to a lot of friends who were into the Enneagram and thinking I was a 4. And my mother and father are both 4s, which makes a lot of sense since I'm a sexual 9. And
Yes.
I was very merged with my mother my whole life. She died when I was 26, but the merging continued to a certain extent.
Wow. As it will with sexual 9s.
Yeah, as it will. Yeah, you would think that would be it.
Yeah.
And then for a while, I thought I was a 7. So I did a few retreats or classes as a 7. And then I thought I was a 5. And all of these felt so real to me. I mean, it was, I still feel when I'm working with clients that it's been a gift in a way because I have an understanding of where they're coming from. There's a part of me that really does understand the neuroses of all the types. I can't say I understand the growth of all the types, but I definitely understand the cramps. So then after 5, I thought I was a 6 for a while. And then it was in one of the classes online where the 9s were speaking, and I just resonated completely with the 9s. And I had never been afraid of conflict, so I didn't think. So I didn't see 9 as a possibility. And now I understand absolutely how much a fear of conflict was running me. Maybe a little differently than other 9s. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So when you did start to see yourself as a 9, what were the first things? I mean, in addition to sort of resonating with the panelists, what were the first things that sort of helped you see that that was actually your correct type?
It was, honestly, it was the merging that one of the 9s, he must have been a sexual 9, talked about. That he felt sick one day and hid it from the family, and it was serious enough that he needed to go to the hospital, but he was so worried about them that he wouldn't share that. And it brought back a memory of being a child and being in surgery for my foot. I had stepped on a needle, and the needle was deeply in my foot. And they were doing, it was a teaching children's hospital, and they were teaching all of these doctors about this new microsurgery. It was in the 80s or 70s, late 70s. And I was maybe 13, and I, the Novocaine didn't work on me.
Wow.
But, they're teaching all these doctors, and there's something very important going on in the room. So I just lay there with the tears coming down the sides of my head and not saying anything. And a nurse noticed and said, "Are you feeling this?" And I said, and she was really mad at me. But that's how much I disassociated back then.
Wow.
I never would have known until I learned about the nine that was what was happening. I
Mm,
didn't even understand that I was merging to the extent that I was, but all of it just started to fall into place.
mhm. And I think what you're saying is important because I think until we really learn the Enneagram, often things that we later come to know to be true about ourselves aren't obvious. Like what merging is. I mean, until you really understand what that's all about, you can be doing it and not necessarily know you're doing it. Like you said, be avoiding conflict in a certain way, but thinking that you're not because you're seeing it the way you see it before you see through it.
Yeah, and I would just fix conflict. Like the way that I dealt with conflict was to get in there and solve it so it would go
Uh-huh.
away. Because
Uh-huh.
I grew up in a family of all sexual dominance, two
Wow.
fours, an eight, very strong sexual eight brother. So I just was so used to conflict that,
Wow. So two sexual fours and a sexual eight.
yeah.
Wow. No wonder you didn't relate to being able to avoid conflict. That's
Not at
incredible.
all. And a theater family, I mean, they were all performers and very charismatic and intense, so much intensity in our house. So I would be the one shredding my napkin under the table, but
Mm.
participating with everyone else, right?
Mhm.
Like hiding how absolutely uncomfortable this was.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're sharing so many brilliant things, and I have so much to say. So I'll try to say a few and bring some other things later in our talk. First, we see that typing a sexual nine is one of the most tricky things on the Enneagram because of this merger. And we see that, for instance, in your case, you were merged with fours because of both your parents. But it could be any type, actually. And we have refined our Enneagram test, the CPS compass, to be able to get that. But it's so tricky, and even in typing interviews with specialists, it's so tricky. And that talks about the merger because
And
it's a little bit like choose, become what you want them to be, but nines become the other. Like it's a shifting to what who the other is, but not out of an image game. It's really becoming because of the merger, which sometimes we say it's not really a merger because the nine forgets themselves and it's more like an acquisition from the other.
mm,
So does this make sense to you at all?
Yes. And I feel that it's so much better now, and that the reason it is better and that I wasn't aware of merging is it happened when I was young, a realization. I was in my 20s living in New York as an actress, and I walked down the street and I had to make a decision about something I was going to do. And I remember my mom was in me. Like I remember seeing through her eyes and knowing that was the thing I needed to do, but seeing it,
wow.
like for the first time realizing I'm not her. Why is this happening? And it was a shock. Like it was a serious horrible shock. And
Mm,
Wow.
I think it kind of gave me a jump start on self observation in
yeah,
a way. Like it really made me see this is something that you did with your mother. I didn't think I'd be doing it with anyone else. I just thought I need to stop that.
right.
I just think it's important to tell listeners, that in case they don't know, that nines tend to merge with others. Sexual dominance can be very, aimed at sort of being very closely bonded with the other, but sexual nines are the ones that merge the most of all 27 subtypes. Just for a little background for people in case they don't know.
Yeah, and I want to add that most people, even Enneagram teachers, do not understand what this merger is. Because, for instance, if the person is a heart type, they might think it's an emotional connection that it's too big and it has nothing to do with that. Or if the person is a head type, the person might think, oh, there's an identification there that is like, I see myself as being you. Nothing to do with that either. It's an energetic merging. It's like having an umbilical cord that there is no separation between you and the other. Like, I know a very close friend of mine who's a sexual 9 woman, and she had her cats at a certain point of her life sleeping on her bed, 6 cats, and she would merge with the cats, especially while she was sleeping. So it doesn't need to be with a human being, really. It can be with a tree, a pet. It's like no boundaries, and being an energetic sponge. But then with the more selective nature of the sexual dominant, you become the other. Does this make sense to you? It's hard to put in language.
Absolutely. And it's so energetic, it's so sensual. I was in, the reason we're living in Asheville is because I merged. I can't believe I'm going to tell you guys this. I merged with trees. I was here for a workshop with my husband. We went for a walk in the woods, and we'd been in the woods like 10 minutes, and there was this clump of trees, and I just felt so strongly part of these trees. And before I knew I was going to say it, I said, "We have to move here." And he must have felt something too, because he went along with it, and a week later we'd found a house.
Wow.
It was just so meant to be. So I think sometimes it's a positive thing where
Yes.
I just spiritually can pick up on things happening.
My point, I was going to talk about this. It's what in spirituality it is called mystic union. And it is the capacity to merge with an external object, even human beings, or spiritual constructs, in a way that you do become one in the non dual state. However, when that happens unknowingly, and with the tendency the nines have of self forgetting, that becomes dangerous. Gets hooked in ego, and all of us have ego. Thank you for telling us this. Yeah, right. Another thing that I want to check with you, when a sexual 9 is has not yet begun the inner quest, then there might be an impression that they lack energy, that they lose energy easily. But then, as the true quest begins, there is this experience of having more energy than anyone else, even two sexual force plus a sexual 8 at home altogether.
Yes. Yes,
Can you tell
absolutely.
us a bit about this?
Yes, actually, as you know, nines, you taught me this, somatically, even more than other body types, I think, take on the emotions, turn somatic. So I think what happened for me with that, even more than you're saying, I had chronic fatigue all during my 20s.
Wow.
And it was as a result of being an actress, which was really my mother's dream, not mine.
Interesting.
So I think my body had to get sick for me to realize you got to change gears here. So yeah, I did not have energy for so long until I figured out what it is I wanted to do, which was direct theater. And then I ended up having to be with my kids because we were in rural Georgia on a farm, and I had to homeschool because the schools were so bad. So
Mhm.
I'd left directing and I lost my energy again. But then as I immersed myself in unschooling, which was a kind of homeschooling we did, I got so excited about that and passionate that I was doing right action in a way, and my energy came back. And it's been like this kind of, I'm so elastic, as you talk about, where I just go on this little roller coaster of
Mhm.
getting there and then going back down, the pendulum. But the
Mhm.
energy when it is there is immense
Right.
when it's
Mhm.
in the right place.
And those are such great examples of how something like chronic fatigue can come because you're putting your energy out to something other than you, right? Or right action, or what you maybe is the right path for you or the right thing for you to be putting your energy into. And it makes so much sense, like living someone else's dream or losing your energy into some particular project that when you're if you're not being mindful and careful about maintaining your energy for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I didn't know. I didn't understand the whole
Of
somatic
course.
connection. But now, like, I was just on a trip with my brother and father,
Mhm.
and it went really well for us. And I think it was partly because I was more honest, but I also was discerning about when I needed to appreciate the situation and not make this a time. I really wanted us to be together in love. So
Mhm.
through not saying things at times, I would go back to my room and my chest would be burning. And I
Right.
Wow.
came home and my tongue was horrible. For about a week, my tongue was just a mess. And I think it was due to swallowing, not
Mm.
saying what I needed to say. So now I've started really looking at when things happen in my body, what is that about? And
Mm.
who knows if I'm right, but it seems to track.
Yeah, I mean, those are such vivid examples of somaticization, right? And the fact that you're aware now and like holding your tongue can mean something happens to your tongue
Like
sort
went
of
chalky and numb, and it was just horrible. Yeah.
wow, that's incredible.
And also a sign of how body types, not only nines, eights, nines, and ones, can have easier access to body wisdom. Your tongue was telling you some truth, a bit like the same way that your body knew that you had to pursue Enneagram learning and then signing up for the course within a week and more. So it's instinct, but also body wisdom.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, you do you mind saying a little bit more about having a lot of energy in potential and in your best, having realized that and having undertaken all this energy in a way that it's even bigger than a sexual four or a section eight?
Yeah. So how does it manifest? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, it's hard to put into words, I imagine, but how is it? Who are you when you are in your best in these higher level of energy? How much energy do you have?
It's intense. It's it's so overwhelming, and um it usually happens like that when I'm in a situation where I'm doing right action. Unfortunately, my right action for me is not always there, but my right action in terms of other people is spot on. Where, um, like this friend of mine was supposed to go to this conference and wasn't able to go due to them not paying her what she needed to be paid, and my nudging her to hang in there, to like say that she wasn't going to go out of integrity, but just wait and see what happens. I just felt something's going to shift, and all of a sudden the plane ticket reduced by half, and she was able to go, and they were able to pay for things they weren't able to pay for because she didn't completely pull out. There's more of a sense for me sometimes. Anyway, in that situation I had this huge energy about it and felt that I had to contact her and get involved, which I've been trying not to do with people, but it just felt so right. So I think sometimes when it is the right action, that's when the energy comes bubbling up, and it's not me, it's just connecting into the right energy, right? The right action energy.
So it sounds like intuition. It sounds like you're very intuitive. Do you think, I mean, it sounds like that's what you're describing, although it sounds like different types can experience things differently. And it sounds like it's very much sort of energetic for you, like you might feel a big energy surge. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, although I want to say, while I agree that you're very intuitive and a good part of what you're saying is intuition, it's also another part is also plain instinct. It's just that people don't really know the reach of instinct, that it operates in ways that are really mysterious for most. It's like you smell something coming your way. And that's not necessarily intuition. It's the capacity of using the best of the animal side of us.
Right. Yeah. And I relate to that smelling things. Like now that I'm more aware of that, I'm using that more instead of pushing it away. And like in writing, I use it where I can smell, I can be back in a situation if I'm writing about the past. Everyone has a strong sense of memory with smell, but I use that a lot in my writing and feel like I just am there. I'm like transported when I get in touch with that, you know?
Mhm.
Mm. Tell us a little bit about your writing.
Oh no. I threw myself into that, didn't I? Um, well, as you know, I was planning on writing this play that was going to delve into the Enneagram a lot.
Mm.
And I came back from that retreat and was waking up at 4:30 in the morning and writing it, and it was going great. And then I truly had a realization that this was not my story to tell because I
Mm,
had only lived in Asheville for a year and a half, and it was about the hurricane. And it was also, I just felt strongly that the MC of the whole thing was a former slave. These were historical figures from Asheville telling the story.
mm,
So it's on the back burner.
mhm,
Another thing that was happening was that family members were showing up. It was this ghost story, right? Like spirits were coming into the space, but a lot of the spirits that were coming were my family spirits.
mhm,
So it
mhm,
was like such a clue that I have another step that I need to take care of first.
mm, mhm.
And honestly, I kind of think it's growth for me to. I've resisted writing a memoir. It felt so self-indulgent, but now I'm seeing it differently in that it's a story like any other story, and it's the story I know best, and I think it's kind of interesting. So that's where I've put my attention.
So now you're writing a memoir.
I'm writing a memoir.
Excellent. It sounds like an excellent growth task for a sexual nine, right? Because the sexual nine's gonna wanna write about other people, tell other people's stories, so it sounds like a beautiful movement that you've been sort of guided to actually tell your story.
Yeah, yeah. And if I would love Elizabeth Gilbert, I don't know if you guys know who she
Yep,
is, has
yep.
talked about how there are these ideas floating out there and writers grab them. And if they don't follow through in them and they let them go, this happened to me with a novel I wrote about bees once. Someone else grabs it and writes it. So I feel like
Mhm,
it's out there that I just happen to
mhm,
tap into it and it will happen, the play,
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
or
yeah.
I'll revisit it.
Mhm, right.
Yeah, brilliant. So, what has helped you the most in your path of growth, with the Enneagram or not, being a sexual nine?
What has helped me being a sexual nine?
What has helped you the most in your growth?
Growing as okay, that's
Yeah.
better. What's helped me the most in my growth, honestly, is this school and having a community now of people that, I mean, we have a group that meets for women, and the accountability and the honesty and the questioning that we have with each other is incredible. Like
Mhm,
last week, I received all of this news, and my son and my best friend both happened to be having surgeries last week, and there was just so much rage and um, feeling, and it was such a safe place to be given permission and even encouraged to just have that, right? Like in a safe way, and
mhm,
we help each other so much with accountability because we're different. We're 3, 6, 9, and 2, and
mm,
they're all social repressed. So that's been really
mhm,
interesting for me to
mhm,
learn from. But
mhm,
that's a huge part of it is the community. Um, Also practices, just changing my practices. Like the last retreat that I went to, I was told to look at my practices and change them. And I've added on. Um, I memorized that. I've been reading a lot of poetry. It's weird, the things that work for me, but
Mhm.
um, I came back from that retreat and memorized that poem that you spoke to me, be the prophet, the part
Mm,
about love. And it
mm,
is so powerful for me. Like, even in the middle of the night when I can't sleep, I'm going over that poem and it just
mm.
brings me peace.
So powerful.
So things like that
Mm,
are helping. Um, just self observation. I'd love to say something about self observation.
please.
That before I met your school, met you, I had been in a community, a spiritual community, and we did a lot of self observation. There was a
Mm,
book, Self Observation, and it was a great book. And I thought I was self observing. But what I realize now is until we have that context of the Enneagram and see the tendencies of our type, there's so much we're not looking at. It's so easy to go blind to the things you don't want to see. And I never would have seen the majority of the things that are running me as a nine if it weren't for having that description. So I just feel so grateful for that. And now on an ongoing basis, I'll be in the moment seeing, like with my father and brother, oh, you're not speaking your truth, but this is not the place to do it. But at least I'm seeing it, right? Like I'm
mm,
seeing
mm,
that I'm not being truthful to who I am. So
mhm. Right, right. Yeah, I often think that, self-observation is really like the first methodology that comes along with the Enneagram because once we learn our type, we need to get into the practice of seeing it in action all the time. And I think you're right. It's like self-observation without the Enneagram, it's almost like we don't really know what to observe. The Enneagram type traits gives us sort of the a guide like, hey, look over here. You might want to watch out for this and this, instead of just observing everything and not really knowing maybe what is more in the foreground, what's in the background, what are the ways that we get in trouble. I think that's a really important point that you made.
I mean, other people may have had an easier time seeing themselves. They typed themselves a lot easier. But for me, I obviously was not seeing things I needed to see. So it helped me a lot.
And I mean, I'm a two, and so I'm also other referencing. And so I think sometimes it can be hard. Like, I never would have known, like, hey, watch out for your needs that you don't express and that you're not even very aware of. I always think of that moment in an Enneagram 2 panel where the moderator says, so tell us about your needs. And there's like 5 minutes of silence. It's like you don't really know to observe something that you're not seeing. And so the first step can be like, go looking for this and then observe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we sometimes maybe we can say that the movement of growth for a sexual nine is a three-step thing. First, you need to produce an energetic cut and clean out energy from others and other things. Then you need to bring back energy inside yourself without dispersing it in the outside. And then you need to build boundaries, including energetic boundaries. Um, so, how did this happen with you?
Okay. Well, it's ongoing, but the
Hmm.
boundary building has been huge. Where my son, the one who had surgery last week, he is an eight and he has a lot of pushback about any input from his parents. And even though I'm a nine, I'm his mother and energetically was incredibly immersed in what his choices were growing up.
Mm,
So, what I've learned just this year is how I had stopped telling him anything that I thought. I was a health coach and I wanted to give my input about his choices, obviously. And I didn't do that, but energetically, I was still, anytime I was with him, he knew. Like he
mm,
just felt it. And I knew he felt it. And so I made a practice of energetically, and it was actually relief just to energetically pull away from him and not carry that around anymore. Like I realized I was walking around with him on my back, like he was my responsibility, whatever was happening to him. And even when he was in surgery this last week, I didn't go. I didn't go to Atlanta to be with him. I just
Mhm.
trusted that everything would be okay with his wife there, um, and I haven't talked to him through it. It's up to him if he wants to call me. So it's in a way with him, that would be one of the bigger examples.
Mhm.
It's amazing to me that it's been a relief, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because it was this misguided idea that it was that's what I have to do as a mother. That's my
Mhm.
responsibility to merge.
Right.
So that's felt really good.
That's a really good example and a really good insight that it's a relief that there's something telling you that that's the right way to go, that you don't need to be doing that and it's actually better for you.
Yeah. And definitely for him.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all want to play God, like you all say, right?
Yeah, when
We
we're
want
in ego, yeah.
to, it's
Yeah.
just so hard not to want to, but it really has nothing to do with my worrying or input what the circumstances are going to be. Nothing. And I
Mhm.
get that now.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Brilliant. And what do people in your life noticed that became different in you as you started growing with the Enneagram, both psychologically or spiritually? What did they notice and tell you?
Well, my husband, who's a three, um, I mean, I shouldn't take credit for this, but he's joining the personal mastery program. And I think it's
Oh.
because of growth he saw for me,
Mhm.
partly. And he's just on his own journey. But um, he's the one who's given me the most feedback since I started the Enneagram. And he has just noticed that I'm much more okay being alone, that I actually demand time alone, that I've always been trusting with him. I've trusted him so much, and he's been an incredible ally in me expressing my anger because I've never had a problem with pushback from him. He can handle it. So that was a great way to practice that and then have that happen with other people and have it happen where it's happening on an ongoing basis, not in the way it did before, where I would hold back for so long and then it would just explode, especially with my family, and come
Mhm.
out incredibly messy. So,
Mhm.
um, I think also just not being so intense, not so sexually forward, that
Yeah.
sexual intensity,
Yeah.
that's pulled back.
Mhm. The sexual
Mhm.
energy, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that there's a lot more. The self preservation has come way up. That's my repressed. And I
Mhm.
actually am taking care of myself more and not losing my wallet and keys quite as much. I'm into decluttering. I think that whole health coach thing was about, I think you mentioned at one point that your repressed instinct is the work you're supposed to do. Didn't you say something about that? So I
Yeah.
think becoming a health coach was actually really good for my self-pres
Mhm.
repressed because
Mhm.
it made me have to take care of me, right?
Mhm.
Um, so people noticed that I was taking care of myself, not just other people.
Mhm.
I think those are the main.
How what's been your trajectory with your anger? Because as we know for nines, they're part of the anger triad, and yet it's often very difficult to express anger or feel it sometimes. And sometimes, you know, like I'm thinking about holding your tongue, like you gave the example earlier, your poor tongue suffered from essentially holding
I'm
back.
not there completely. Yeah.
But how are you with that? Because I know nines can end up being passive aggressive because they sort of hold it in and yet it leaks out as stubbornness. What's that been like for you?
Okay, so this trip with my family is probably a good way to talk about it. I think it's gotten really good with everyone, but then when you go back to your family of origin, it is so challenging. It's like
Yes.
Yeah.
shifting the cogs of these gears that just do not want to shift, you know?
And this is
Yeah.
for
So,
all of us. Yeah.
okay, good.
Yeah. I'm feeling your, yes.
But
I'm
that's
with
a test. And I think I was I've always struggled with understanding how I'm passive aggressive until that trip. I really saw what I did was start talking in this really sweet voice. I like this little girl voice. And because my brother's an 8, he was like, "What's up with the voice? What are you doing? That is so weird." And I didn't even know I was doing it. And it was such a
Yes.
great realization to see that's passive aggression, right? Like
Mm,
instead of telling you what I really want to tell you, I'm just going to get really sweet and all victimy, and then you'll feel bad and you'll realize what you
mm,
were doing in
mhm,
some way. So that's an example. But
Mhm.
in other parts of my life, I feel like I express anger um, regularly now,
Mhm.
and not always with people. It's more about just experiencing it. Like last week when so much was going on, I went and screamed into a pillow. You know, I had primal screams, which then
mm,
allowed all this huge grief to come out, and I
Mhm.
felt amazing after.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a practice
mhm,
of just I've always had access to my emotions. I think more than a lot of nines, but letting it get that big is
Mhm.
new.
So, what about self-worth? Because this is a problem that many nines have, like hard time attributing value to self. And how do you see this? How do you observe this in you as a nine, and what changed and how?
Well, I think in the past I felt self worth in terms of my relationship with others. So as long as I was making sure that everyone was doing well around me, even strangers in a room, like as long as I was even just energetically aware of that and contributing to them doing okay, I felt good about myself. And now it is not about that. In fact, when I'm doing that, I'm cringing. I'm aware of not wanting to do that as much. So now it's about it happens mostly when I'm alone and just doing something creative, either writing or doing art or just being alone. I'm aware of this whole kind of well of knowledge and even my mental ability that I think I had not given much validity. And I'm starting to really absorb that and let it have expression and be here. It's like an embodied being here in a different way than it was before. I was
mm.
never really grounded before this
Wow.
work, before the Enneagram. I was a
Mm,
body type, but I was not grounded and I was floating
mhm,
around a lot. And it's why I kind of related to sevens when I was a seven for a while and talking to sevens, because I
mm.
hadn't really gotten what it is to be absolutely here, not floating into fantasy and seeing what actually is as it is here and now.
Right.
As our No Desjardins says, like just really experiencing the moment.
Right, because sometimes, especially non-body types, think that because someone's a body type, they're automatically in touch with their body and really grounded. And that's not true, right? Just like heart types aren't always necessarily in touch with their heart or, and so I think it's important to hear that it sounds like you did work to get more grounded inside yourself, especially again, sexual nines can lose themselves in that over connection with others, that merger.
Yeah. So it feels really good now. It feels connected to something bigger than what I was connected to before.
Mm.
That's real.
Yeah, and on top of what B said, also being a self-pressed repressed adds to the hard time feeling grounded in our experience. Now, yeah, but do you notice that it makes sense for you to take credit in your journey? Not only because your husband is going to attend the retreat.
Well, I still struggle with it. Like when you invited me to do this podcast, that was a
Mhm.
huge move for me to say. But I have to say, I immediately said yes. Like you asked, and I didn't question it. I'm just jumping into yeses when it feels right. And but then there was the aftermath of wow, do I believe I'm in growth? And it made me. It was such a great exercise in seeing how much I have grown. Like I don't
Mm,
think I would have completely let it in if you hadn't asked me to do this to the extent that I have. I
mm,
would have been experiencing it, but I wouldn't have really looked at it. And so
mm,
yeah, I do feel proud
mhm.
of what I've done and done the work
Yes.
and practices. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds like too, you've gotten more connected. Sometimes we say sexual nines because they merge so much with the people around them, they may not be connected to their own sense of purpose. And it sounds like you've gone from like wanting to be an actress and seeing life almost through your mother's eyes to really being more grounded in your own sense of purpose. Would you say that's something that's happened? That's accurate?
Definitely. Absolutely. And also just knowing when yeah, I guess it's taking on other people's purposes versus what I really know I'm put here to do. I watched Jane Goodall the other night. I don't know if you've seen her
Yes.
it's her last interview, and
Oh, right. I haven't seen that. No.
that woman, I mean, I was so into her as a kid, and she was born with her sense of purpose, with her right action. And
Mm,
it was so moving. And I don't have that. Like,
mhm,
that's what I would love is to like know. But what I'm thinking about lately is just by being here now more in my body, grounded, that the right
mhm,
action just presents itself moment to moment. Like when I'm with
mhm,
my grandchildren, I'm really with my grandchildren. When
mm,
the neighbors need something, I'm really available if I want to be. I'm in a different response with what shows up in my life.
mhm. It sounds like more deeply connected to yourself. Mhm. Like able to access that, like that either decision to be present or that that question and answer of do I want to be available for helping my neighbor, and that you're able because I know that some nines struggle a lot with not knowing what they want, and not being able to decide.
Yeah, and I think it has to come for me from getting quiet and being alone and from the peak experiences I've had that helped me feel more of a oneness with the universe.
Mhm.
Like I pull on that, and now I'm able to drop into that. If I drop into my
Mm,
body, if I just
beautiful.
drop into my gut and pull on that feeling that I've had several times in my life, now I'm using that. Now I'm not just waiting for the next peak experience. It's actually a tool. It's
Mm,
there all the time, right?
that's
And it's just
beautiful.
remembering to use it.
That's beautiful that there is a connection between your gut knowing and this conscious evoking of your connection to something higher. Beautiful. Beautiful. So one last question for me. What suggestions or advice do you have for nines out there, maybe sexual nines who are on the growth path, maybe earlier on in the growth path? What would you suggest that they focus on or do as a way of furthering their own growth?
Maybe just start listing all the things that they're merged with, whether like just jotting it down, even like I
Mm,
merged with that television character last night. I merged with that character in that book. Um, I'm with that song has been playing in my head for 3 hours. What's up with that? Like, just see the ways that you literally dissolve into something else. Just self observation.
mm,
Spending more time alone. Definitely spending time alone, whether you want to or not. Just scheduling that in, and even no dog. Like, I'm never better
wow.
than when they're all gone.
Wow, even the dog, yeah.
Even the dog.
Maybe no
I've gotten
tree,
better at
That's radical.
what?
maybe
That's
no
radical.
tree at times,
Do I
No
what?
tree.
maybe no
You said
tree
maybe
at
no
times
tree.
even.
No trees at times, right? Going into nature. Yes, stay away from the trees. Just
Mm.
really focusing within, which is a whole new experience as a sexual nine, right? Like you're so good at knowing what's going on around you to just pull. It almost feels self-centered. It feels selfish.
And that's when you know you're doing it right, is if it feels self-centered and selfish for a 9. That's good.
Yeah, at first it was so hard for me to follow that directive, to get therapy, right? Like to spend the money and the time on just talking about myself. And I had been lucky to be in psychological workshops when I was younger, but then I gave up going to therapy for a very long time and have gotten back into it. And I think it's so important, no matter where you are, to to value that. And I think nines tend more toward, or at least the nines I know, spirituality than doing their psychological work. So I think that's something you have to look at.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I would say it's good for anyone to go to psychotherapy and just have a place to talk about themselves, but even more for 9s, right? To go and talk, it's all about you, and that person has to be needs to listen to you and have that space all for you.
And fill the space. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
when opportunities show themselves like this, say yes. Like when you have a chance to show up, just do. Don't think about it. Don't ruminate about it. Just
yeah,
go.
yeah. Yeah, and showing up is what exactly the phrase that I've heard other 9s say is that sometimes they are afraid to show up. And so I think that's a good way to put it. Like with you, you are here. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anything else you want to add before we stop?
Um, I guess for partners of nines or family members, to tell them to, and you've written about this in your books, but really make a point of asking them to speak their opinions
Mm,
and pushing them to tell their stories or show up. And they'll be messy and they'll probably ramble and
mhm.
maybe not have as much clarity, but it just takes practice, right? And you need encouragement because you're so focused outside. You need the people outside you to pull you out a little bit.
Mhm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you.
Oh, good, Madeline. I'll actually add a thing, if you don't mind. Um, you mentioned a poem that is really special, and I just want to say it's from Khalil Gibran in the book The Prophet, and it's basically called On Love. And I'm going to challenge you because you said that you have it by heart now. So why don't we finish this with you reciting this poem that is actually one of the most beautiful ever written?
Okay, can I cheat a little bit and I have it with me all the time
Yeah.
lately.
It's fine with me if you cheat as long as it's okay if I cry. I will, there will be tears.
I just want to say, yeah, I just want to say it's very special if we hear it from you because of all we
Yeah,
witnessed in all you said, and because although it's a poem that speaks to anybody's heart, it's even more special for nines.
because is the holy love is the holy idea of type 9.
Right. I'm so grateful that you shared this with me. I can't tell you how much it's meant. Then said Almitra, "Speak to us of love." And with a great voice he said, "When love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways be long and steep. And when his wings enfold you, yield to him, though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you. And when he speaks to you, believe in him, though his voice may shatter your dreams, as the north wind lays waste the garden. For even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. Even as he is for your growth, so is he for your pruning. Even as he ascends to your height and caresses your tenderest branches, as they quiver in the sun, so shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth. Like sheaves of corn, he gathers you unto himself. He threshes you to make you naked. He sifts you to free you from your husks. He grinds you to whiteness. He kneads you until you are pliant. And then he assigns you to his sacred fire, that you may become sacred bread for God's sacred feast. All these things shall love do unto you, that you may know the secrets of your heart, and in that knowledge become a fragment of life's heart. And I think this next part is so sexual 9. But if in your fear you would seek only love's peace and love's pleasure, then it is better for you that you cover your nakedness and pass out of love's threshing floor into the seasonless world, where you shall laugh, but not all of your laughter, and weep, but not all of your tears. Love gives not but itself, and takes not but from itself. Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed. For love is sufficient unto love. When you love, you should not say, God is in my heart, but rather, I am in the heart of God. And think not you can direct the course of love, for love, if it finds you worthy, directs your course. Love has no other desire but to fulfill itself. But if you love and must needs have desires, let these be your desires. To melt and be like a running brook that sings its melody to the night. To know the pain of too much tenderness. To be wounded by your own understanding of love. And to bleed willingly and joyfully. To wake at dawn with a winged heart and give thanks for another day of loving. To rest at the noon hour and meditate love's ecstasy. To return home at eventide with gratitude. And then to sleep with a prayer for the beloved in your heart and a sacred song of praise upon your lips.
That's a perfect way to end a beautiful time together. Thank you so much, Madeline. It's always so wonderful to be with you.
Thank you both.
So that's the end of this episode. We hope you'll join us again next time for the Enneagram 2.0 podcast, where we talk about all things Enneagram and maybe increasingly love.